One more second. Okay. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for October 29th, 2018 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. Make some introductions here. To my right is Vice President Commissioner Barb Lewis. To my left is fellow Commissioner Jeff Benton. Our clerk today is Jennifer Walraven, and our administrator, Mike Fromer. I'm going to go ahead and we had a tragedy over the weekend that I'm going to ask if we have a moment of silence for the 11 people that were killed by what I consider a coward, and so we'll just have a moment of silence for those 11 people. Thank you. I'm going to ask Mike, we have a new addition to the
Sir.
staff. Do you want to introduce Mr.?
Yeah. Commissioners and residents, very pleased to, today is Brad Lutz's first day. Brad is right there. Brad is filled the position of Director of Business Operation and Financial Management. He comes to us from Pickaway County. He was previously their county administrator. And we're very excited to have him on board to work with our team. And I think we met for about an hour this morning and started going through some of the things he's going to be helping us out with on budget, things like that. And I think he's going to be an excellent into our team. So
it's great to see so many people turn out to welcome Brad.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but I didn't know how well it'd go over. You're braver than I am.
There we go.
I heard nothing good but from his commissioners that he works with in Pickaway County, and I know they're sorry to lose you, and it's our gain, so welcome aboard. Proceed.
Resolution number 18-1191 in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held October 25th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1191. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Next thing on the agenda is public and elected comment. I'm going to turn that around to elected first. By our rules, elected officials are unlimited in the time you have to speak. All other public comment is limited to 3 minutes. And that's a long-standing policy. So with that in mind, I believe we have 2 elected officials here. So Shira, would you like to go first?
Sure, I didn't realize it. Okay.
Introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Shira Eichhorn. I live at 161 Tiller Drive, Palo, Ohio. As you know, I'm a Liberty Township trustee, but I'm not representing the board today. I come before you as only one trustee. As local elected officials, we represent our constituents. So I would first like to focus on the residents of Liberty Township and Powell. In November 2017, the residents overwhelmingly passed a fire EMS levy renewal by 75%. And all 6 candidates running for township trustee had one thing in common. They supported the current township fire-based EMS model. There were signs and large banners posted throughout the township, postcards mailed, social media campaigns launched, videos made, and thousands of doors visited, with all of us pledging our support to our township fire-based EMS. Why would all 6 candidates agree on this matter? Because we all know that's what our residents want. But if we push that aside because we know that sometimes circumstances change and adjustments need to be made, then if we are going to change our service model, there must be significant financial savings or higher quality services provided to our residents. Based on what I read in the proposal draft, and I want to make it clear I know it was just a draft, we will not accomplish either of those tasks. In your draft proposal, the county will provide us with 2-man medics. We usually staff with 3. So that's a downgrade. It also states that the county will not have to spend money on hiring any additional staff. That means you will be pulling paramedics from your current team to move them down to Liberty Township, thus thinning your staff, which is a downgrade for those who currently rely on your services today. Right now, the county reimburses the township approximately $233,000 annually for running EMS. But if you implement this change, Liberty Township will lose that money and still have to fund and run a fire department. In your proposal, it says that our fire department will still have to provide support for your county-run medics. That is a downgrade in our service because our fire trucks would have to go on every single run to play backup for your staff. That will cause undue wear and tear on our engines, causing us more money in the long run. The closest truck dispatch system sounds like a fantastic idea until you truly analyze it. For example, if our medic truck 321 housed across from the YMCA goes up on a run to Bunny Station and then has to transport a patient to Grady Hospital, when the medics are leaving the hospital, if a 911 call comes in from someone nearby Grady, since our medic will be the closest one at that moment, they will be dispatched there. Then let's say a few minutes later, another 911 call comes in from a neighborhood right behind Station 321. Guess what? Our 321 medic is not available. In fact, our medic is on a run that is not even in our township. Our residents better hope and pray that our medic housed on Salmo Road is available, because if not, the closest medic truck will now be traveling from outside the township. These type of situations will immensely impact our response times and not in a positive manner. Next, the Liberty Township Fire Department currently meets all 50 points recognized by the Ambulance Benchmark Summary System. But according to the Fitch study, Delaware County EMS only meets 14. Now, in your draft proposal, you address some of the reasons why that number 14 is misleading. However, as just stated, the Liberty Township Fire Department already hits all 50, so the proposed change would be another downgrade. In most cases, it all comes down to the money, except when talking about saving a loved one's life. But let's also put that aside and just analyze the supposed savings. Today, you are giving the township, as I said, approximately $233,000 per year to run our EMS. Under the new plan, over the next 5 years, you will be spending approximately $1.8 million more. On the township side, your proposal will provide medic service only. Comparing your proposed budget numbers to our budget numbers, for $10.57 per resident, we can provide cross-train, fire, EMS, rescue, hazmat, and active aggressive coverage. $10.57 annually per person gets all those additional services. To get savings with implementing your proposed plan, we would have to lay off several of our cross-trained firefighters. But it would not lead to savings. Why? Because any reduction in our staffing would lead to an ISO rating change. Liberty Township residents could collectively pay an additional $1.7 million more in homeowners insurance premiums annually, averaging $115 to $230 increase per household because of this change. These two increases could potentially total $10.3 million more in possible expenses over 5 years for everyone to implement a separate fire and EMS plan. Now we are losing money. To summarize, we will both lose financially and have downgraded services that we provide to our constituents. I understand my fellow Liberty Township trustees asked you to craft a proposal. So today you are graciously responding to that request, so I thank you, because it only reinforced what my residents and I have known all along. We should keep our current fire-based EMS model because it is the most cost-efficient model for all the taxpayers. I'd like to thank the residents that took the time to attend this important meeting today, as well as our current fire chief, Chief O'Brien, who has our department running more efficiently than I can ever remember since sitting on a Liberty Township board, so thank you. Thank you to our Liberty Township cross-trained firefighters that are top-notch and have always provided us outstanding service. And lastly, thank you, commissioners, for your time, and I respectfully ask that you recommend we keep the current Liberty Township fire-based EMS model that benefits us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira.
Thank you, Chair.
Under elected officials, also the mayor, I believe you want to speak?
I was not going to speak as,
Well, I understand that distinction, but it allows you to speak without the 3-minute limit. So
That's
if
good.
you'll allow me that deviation, if there's not a problem with my fellow commissioners, you're good with that? You're good with that? Proceed.
thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I am John Benioff. I'm a resident. I reside at 3974 Village Club Drive, Powell, Ohio, in Liberty Township, in Delaware County. I make that distinction very clear because I am a constituent and I'm establishing myself as such, and I'm I'm representing no subdivision and no other person. I've spoken with a number of people in our community, numerous people in our community. Not a single one of them has a complaint about our level of service from Liberty Township Fire. So I'm here to comment on the much rumored and documented countywide EMS proposal. First, I'd like to set a short historical background with regard to Liberty Township Fire and EMS, and I do this with purpose. Liberty Township Fire Department was formed in 1947, and their EMS service was established in 1952, a full 20 years prior to the formation of the Delaware County EMS. I'm not here to cast aspersions on anyone or any organization, but I do think that the facts that are brought forward in the report from the Fitch Associates actually paints a very clear picture of shortcomings with a countywide EMS proposal. I'm not going to go through point counterpoint on the proposal, I believe, on the Fitch report, because I understand that the rebuttal was presented by the Delaware, Orange, Liberty, and Genoa Townships fire officials, and I believe you have the benefit of that rebuttal. I do presume that the commissioners and the trustees both have a copy of that rebuttal. Liberty Township Fire executed 2,223 runs in 2017, and year-to-date have 2,345 completed. 1,585 of those were to Powell City proper. Let me make a distinction here. Powell City proper has non-conforming borders. That makes every resident of Powell a resident of Liberty Township, and therefore they have a stake in this. I'll come back to that. Powell residents consistently over the last 4 surveys have rated Liberty Township Fire Department and EMS very highly. In fact, I consider it a 100% satisfaction rating, and that's available on our website. Now, you will find that for the last year, and they vary from year to year. We do it every couple of years, but it varies from year to year, but it's always around what it was last year. The previous survey was higher. This survey was 80 by 1 percentage point. This past survey was at 89% satisfied or very satisfied. 80% were very satisfied. 11%, which constitutes the whole of 100%, 11% had no opinion. They had no opinion because they had no opinion. They had no experience with the fire and EMS. I contribute that to a 100% satisfaction level. Others might argue. Factors people tell me are important are response time, qualifications, and certifications of EMS personnel. And the fact that they also tell me that in a catastrophic event, the cross-trained staff of the Liberty Township Fire Department and EMS are capable of handling significant, complex situations. It cannot go unmentioned that the ambulance benchmark survey in the Fitch report notes that the Delaware County EMS achieves a 14 out of 50 attainment. That's an F in my book. I'm not saying anything against the county EMS, but they hit 14 marks on the 50 benchmarks in attachment A.
Correct, John?
5-0.
5-0, okay.
Liberty Township hits 100% of those, 50 out of 50, a significant difference. The Liberty Township Fire Department is known for superior service, which includes shorter response times and excellent certifications. I could share multiple stories that have been told to me over the past week or so, and longer than that. Some of those stories may be in this room, so I'll let them tell you of the importance of prompt response time and superior capabilities in their time of need. There are many stories which articulate the superior service of the Liberty Township Fire EMS provides. Conversely, there are recent instances that I've been made aware of through speaking with a number of the fire chiefs and union officials, where county EMS has had a couple of shortfalls, where they've had somebody in the truck and the truck's broke down, or wagon, I don't know what the right term for the ambulance is. And in one instance, there was a report of an EMS truck crashing a four-way stop sign, almost hitting somebody. She called to complain about that jurisdiction's EMS, and they said, what color was the truck, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that it was not that jurisdiction's truck, and they turned their lights and sirens on after they blew through the four-way stop. I understand they needed to be proceeding with haste, so that's not an issue. The Liberty Township Fire Department ISO rating is scheduled to be reevaluated this coming year. Any ISO ranking increase, which is a bad thing, will increase residents' insurance by a factor greater than any economies that are proposed to be achieved in this proposal. A single ISO ranking point would result in over a $1 million increase in insurance rates for Liberty Township. This would equate to $115 increase per year for the average household if it's a single point, and if it's a 2-point ranking increase, it would go to $230 or more for a 2-point increase in ISO ranking. This is a burden on the homeowners in the community. Again, Powell, unincorporated borders, is almost 50% of Liberty Township. It's 49 point something. I don't know the exact percentage.
So, John, just to clarify again, you say your ratings are due to be evaluated this,
I understand that from the
19.
fire,
so when you mentioned the $115 increase per year, that was?
that would be a homeowner's insurance increase because of the ISO deficit that would perhaps occur because of a different level of service, because countywide services benchmarks 14 out of 50, Liberty Township benchmarks 50 out of 50.
Okay.
That has to be considered and would certainly be an influencing factor on the ISO rating.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. The City of Powell has historically relied on citizen task forces to analyze every important strategic initiative that they have embraced. And I'm choosing my words carefully here. I'm saying the City of Powell, they. I'm not representing anybody. Their comprehensive plan, the city charter amendment, the zoning code diagnostic, the Keep Powell Moving initiative, and the capital management strategy task force, which just recently resulted in a tax increase proposal for the current ballot, all have had the benefit of citizen analysis or a task force. Input from a very diverse cross-section of the community. Some of the members of the most recent task force are in this room and can tell you about the breadth of knowledge and the depth of inspection and introspection that went into the capital funds task force, for example. If the Liberty Township Fire EMS is to be considered for transfer to the county, the same process should be considered for analysis of this situation. I recognize that's not your responsibility. I lay it at the feet of the township trustees. Starting with a review of what I judge to be, and I'm sorry, this out-of-state report from Fitch, a consulting firm in Missouri, and I was a consultant for years. I was as an executive at IBM, I performed consulting services for 16 years. And then the last 9 years, I've been an independent consultant, consulting on a variety of matters. So I know that you're familiar with my acumen in consulting services. I wonder why an out-of-state firm was chosen to do the evaluation. I know that there are people that have areas of expertise, but I can't imagine that there is not a consulting firm in the state of Ohio that would have more familiarity with Ohio and perhaps familiarity with Central Ohio and perhaps have different considerations when they go through this. But if the Liberty, blah, 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 starting with the review of what I judge to be a flawed output report by an out-of-state consulting firm, the constituents know what their taxation tolerance level is for superior services. I don't really see any savings in the report or the proposal. I don't know how they'll be realized. I won't put you on the spot and ask you to say that here's what you believe the savings are, because I don't believe they're in there. I've analyzed the report, I've analyzed the rebuttal. I don't have the benefit of previous reports. I'd asked for them, but don't have them. But I will tell you that I don't think it would have changed my mind much about the Fitch report at all. I don't know that I agree with every single point that the fire chiefs of Genoa, Orange, Liberty, and Delaware pointed out, but I agree with the vast majority of their rebuttal, and I would tell you that I think this needs to be walked back or slow-rolled, given the opportunity to have a citizen review and citizen input on the matter. I don't believe that a legislative act by a couple of different politic parties, and I don't mean politicians, I mean subdivisions, the commissioners and the township trustees, I don't believe that a legislative act between those two bodies should be taken when the people have not been made aware. Obviously, some people have. I spoke with a gentleman this morning at my coffee with the mayor and the manager that was completely unaware of this. I know that the vast majority of the folks would be found to be ignorant of the situation, and that's the dictionary term, ignorant, not anything else. Do you have any questions of me?
I have no questions. I appreciate you taking the time to share your perspective.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you. I think you raised an excellent point about this being rushed. And, Mr. Chairman, I would like to read a motion that would allow us to hear from others who have they've already signed in to our sign-in sheet. And I think that others who took the time to be here today need to be heard. And I will go ahead and read the resolution and then see if there's a second, and we can move from there. Am I reading this at the right time? Good. Okay. I've got to always check with our clerk, Jennifer Walraven. She keeps us straight. In the matter of approving for a specific occurrence, a suspension of Rule 4 limitations from the rules governing public comment before the Board of County Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio. I will move to approve for a specific occurrence of suspension Rule 4. Limitations from the rules governing public comment before the Board of Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio. And we just need a second.
So,
Rule 4 limits the amount of people that can speak
Right,
for or
right.
against it.
so we wouldn't change the 3-minute
No,
limit?
this does not.
How many people had signed in? 'Cause this could go on all
Commissioner
morning with
Romero.
Yeah,
everybody here.
I can count them for you. I think it was about 7 in there.
It tends to get a little repetitive. We've heard
Well,
a lot
I
of
think if
comments.
we ask people not to be repetitive, and long.
There's 7.
I'm okay with, if 7 people want to speak.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1192. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Okay, we have 7, if I counted correctly. We will hold you to the 3 minutes, and Sarah, you're the villain. So perhaps at 3 minutes, just stand up, because I know you didn't come prepared to do this, so, okay? So wave your arms or whatever. Okay, so I will go in the order in which we receive these. Typically, we're limited to 3, so it would just been the first 3 unless they
I
pass to the next person, but since we put the resolution, all of you will get an opportunity, and we'll do it in the order I have them here.
Mr. Chairman, just one other point. I think some people didn't even realize that they had to sign up before
Well, it's too late now
they
for that.
spoke.
By the rules,
Plenty.
and that's not what the resolution
Yeah.
concerned. We have 7, and I think everybody here would agree that's probably sufficient. Again, I will go into order. Becky Mount.
Hi, my name is Becca Mount. I live in Liberty Township, 10482.
Sorry, I called you Becky, I apologize.
That's okay. 10482 Woodburn Drive, Powell. I just want to do a quick recap of the 10 most important things that I have gleaned from Trustee Icorn and Mayor Benehoff's speeches. 1, if this goes through, Liberty Township and Powell residents will have a loss of quality product for a negative ROI. 2, our quick response times will decrease if you use the closest truck model. 3, we currently run 3-man medics. The proposal in front of you is saying that we will be guaranteed a 2-man medic. So that's a downgrade in service. What some people don't understand about running a 3-man medic and why that is so important is because there are crucial procedures that can happen in the back of an ambulance on the way to a hospital that actually result in the patient being able to go straight into surgery. They bypass the ER and any procedures that they need to have done before they go to surgery. So that is huge. That is a critical point. 4, we are going to lose cross-trained personnel. As you heard from Trustee Icorn, our cross-trained personnel do more than just medic. They do water rescue, ice rescue, closed confined space rescue. They are able to, because they have been trained by the sheriff and the Powell Police, go into an active aggressor, active shooter situation while it is still occurring. So if there's a mass casualty incident or multiple injuries, our cross-trained firefighters and paramedics can walk into the scene with the police and start performing aid immediately. 6, our firefighter and paramedics would be laid off. That is a huge downgrade in our service for the reasons I just explained. Our ISOs will change. Because we are currently a joint fire-based EMS department, we have the ability to enjoy a low ISO rating in Powell and Liberty Township. Our homeowners insurance costs will go up if our ISO changes. Finally, the engine wear and tear that is going to occur will cost the residents of Powell and Liberty Township money that we are not going to be reimbursed for. Because the proposal states that you are going to promise us a 2-man medic, the proposal states that our fire department will have to provide resources to back up the medics. So that means if our fire engine goes out with a medic and then a person from that fire engine has to go to the hospital in the back of the medic, it takes out our fire engine. So that's a downgrade in our service because we have just lost a firefighter that is now going to the hospital instead of going back onto the emergency medical situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
If I mispronounce the name, accept my apology. Wait, well, I'm not getting ready to apologize for the next one. And I do apologize. I don't know if it's Joshua, is it L-O-N? I can't read the last name. It's not Clark. Did you say Lowry?
Lowry?
Loney.
I'm sorry?
Okay.
Could you spell it?
L-O-N-E-Y.
L-O-N-C-Y.
E-Y.
E-Y, my apology. Just introduce yourself formally and your address.
Josh Loney. I live at 167 Nitros in the city of Delaware. I'm a former Liberty Township, City of Powell resident. So this it hits close to home as I also have family members that live within Delaware County at the outskirts of the county. First and foremost, you can't do more with less. You can only do less with less. So when Delaware County has their 2-man trucks and they're going to not hire any staff, send them to Liberty Township and expect to do the same level of service across all other parts of the county, it's not realistic. You cannot do it. Point being, you can't do more with less, you can only do less with less. Liberty Township passed a 5-year levy for fire and EMS. So that money's still coming in from 2019 to 2023. So there's going to be zero cost savings to the residents in that part. However, for all the rest of the county, there's going to be a cost increase. After the own proposal, it's going to be, what, $500,000 per year, plus a one-time of $400,000. So over 5 years, that's approximately $3 million. I don't see that being a cost savings to anyone in the county. We're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize on your name as well. Okay, let's see if I have better luck with the next one. This one I think I can handle. Sarah Clark. Hi, Sarah.
My name is Sarah Clark. I live at 9132 State Route 521 in Sunbury. I'm a Delaware County resident. My concern is regarding the downgrade in services. I have family that lives in Delaware County, elderly parents, and I had noticed on the EMS website, it says that their primary crews are always staffed with 3 personnel, 2 of which are paramedics. These policies are in place for your safety. When you are being taken to the hospital with a critical heart attack, how many trained healthcare providers do you want at your side taking care of you? Just one to get everything done by his or herself? We would rather know that every time there are at least 2 paramedics with you working at your side caring for you or your family member. So this would be a change in that service that is currently provided, and it's concerning to think about my parents being transported somewhere with 1 person in the back and 1 person driving. It's just not for the betterment of the county, in my opinion.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Is it Shaloko? I wanted to say Charles, but I knew that was wrong. Pronounce it again for my
It's
benefit.
Shalako Clark. I live at 9132 State Route 521 in Sunbury, Ohio. This is my wife. I've been currently in the EMS system and fire service in Delaware County since 1996. Some of the things that you guys are lacking on this part of it is that you're not only decreasing the staffing and the abilities of Liberty Township, but you're also decreasing the abilities and the staffing of Delaware County in general. You guys represent the whole county. If you're willing to put $1 million into a community that truly right now has passed a levy to support the services they currently have, why aren't you willing to put some of that back into the communities that cannot provide that kind of service that they do? Right now, you guys provide 2-man medics. You've downstaffed your medics, a medic 1, 2, 7, 10s, just as of right now. And what's ironic, most people probably don't understand that, is what you're doing is you're doing it close to full-time fire-staffed personnels. And so what you're trying to do on that situation is that when you do have a critical situation, well, my wife just read that you can pull off these these fire trucks. So her point on BST&G, they have 3 guys normally probably on the truck over there. That's mostly what fire departments have because of staffing-wise. So if you take one of those guys off of that fire truck and put them on that medic to go down to Grant, and more than likely, most of those guys are only basics, so either they're going to drive, which they probably don't know how to get to Grant or Riverside or anything like that, or they're going to be in the back, and so you still have 1 paramedic in the back. One thing you guys are losing here is that you're taking this money and not giving it to the communities that truly need it. I live in northern Delaware County, and I'm not representing Liberty Township. I'm representing a Delaware County resident. If you're so willing to do this, then why aren't you willing to put it into some of these places like Porter Kingston or Ashley or Radnor, all these other places that truly need the staffing to support fire, rescue, EMS, prevention, active aggressor. I just went to a Buckeye Valley meeting over there about active aggressor. No EMS people were there, 0. That's a problem. All these studies show that if you don't get in there immediately and have the training, people are going to die. Our kids are going to die. We just had a little moment of silence for 11 people. And this is not a concern at all. So when we take this a step back and look at this moment as something that's a positive and say, let's look at the whole situation, how the system's been flawed. This has been in system for 46 years, same age as I am. I was born in 72. This was brought to us in Delaware County in 72. If you truly want to do the betterment for the community, a whole, pull this thing back, look at, and this might not be the proudest thing in the world, as a countywide fire-based EMS system for everybody. So we don't have the haves and have-nots in Delaware County, because right now, On the southern end, these communities have decided that they want fire-based EMS. They voted for it, they passed it, overwhelming colors. So why don't you enhance that system here? So I'm asking you to take a step back today and take a look at it and do what you need to do properly, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ian, is it Murnane?
I won't need a whole 3 minutes. I haven't been properly informed, which is why I'm here today, and I'm kind of representing those of us who haven't been properly informed. I'd like to thank Ms. Eichhorn, because I am so much more informed after hearing your representation, and thank you for representing me as a Liberty Township resident. I live at 4760 Millwater Drive, Powell, Ohio. I have been here for just shy of 40 years. So now, I'm a senior citizen. This whole idea scares me, and I would like to stay where I am. Our fire service has been excellent. As we've all been stating, we just voted in support. I'm shocked that this has even been brought before us. Shocked. And I wanted to learn where this was initiated. I'm an informed voter, try to be, have been, and support Delaware County and Liberty Township. So I am just learning today, and I highly recommend we get more word out to our residents so they'll be properly informed of what's going on. Please keep our current situation. We have an excellent fire service and emergency service. And we have, fortunately, you folks have done your homework, and I support what they have been saying. And thank you very much for presenting that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
I think you guys are just trying to test me, aren't you? It's either FA, it's Fainer, it's FA, is that supposed to be in the end, you think?
Marie?
I want to get somebody else involved so you know it's just not me. But she knows who it is.
It's you. Ah,
Is it FA, is it FAU?
Foyner? Fulmer. I wouldn't have seen an L in there.
So
Okay.
thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone who spoke. I'm Marie Fulmer. I live at 8701 Albury Court in Sherburne Mews. I have a daughter. This is going to be pretty emotional for me. I'm an executive. I've worked for 25 years. I have had responsibility for $4 billion specifically for cutting costs. So I understand that effort that you're trying to go through. I've run thousands of RFPs. I really understand cutting costs. But in 2009, I had a baby, and she had medical issues, severe medical issues. And the Liberty Township Fire Department, I would not have survived. I wouldn't be here. I took a sick day today because I also didn't know this was going on, and it's stressful. It's stressful to our community. So I apologize in advance that I may get emotional. 2009, I had a baby, severe medical issues. The Liberty Township Fire Department was there by my side, supporting me throughout the entire journey. If I only had 2 medics in an ambulance, I would not have my daughter today. Hands down, she wouldn't be alive. She's 9. Every birthday is a huge birthday. This is not just me. This is our community. You all will have grandchildren. You'll all have somebody you didn't expect. I was an athlete in college. I never did a drug, never drank alcohol, never expected to have a child with medical issues. It's important. We fought for the levy. I was shocked, like you were, to hear that this is going on. I'm disappointed that the firemen that support our community have to go through this all the time, fighting so hard for their jobs. It's stressful for them, the jobs that they do. It's stressful for us when we live what we live. But I can tell you, this is my family behind me. I can tell you, I recognize so many of them, and so many I don't because it was such a stressful scenario with them saving my child's life, time and time again. This is my stressful season, the winter. It's stressful for a lot of families. They get flu and sickness. These guys are there day and night. Please don't take them away from us. We need them. I'll also tell you, you're right, Chalico, it's not the same in the rest of the community. And if we want to grow our community and have a strong community for families, we need to support them in all parts of the county. And we're trying in Liberty Township. I'm trying with my friends and family to make sure that they know that this is what matters. This is where you don't cut cost. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one left, and I can't pronounce this one. William Bill Eddy.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is William Eddy. I am not representing myself, I'm representing a PAC. Our PAC is called Pro Powell PAC. So I will read a statement from them. We have received dozens of responses from locals in the areas concerning this proposed merger. We cannot believe the extent of our local politicians will go through for their political gain, even to the point of where logic is blindly thrown out of the window for political gain. As a resident of Liberty Township and someone who is deeply embedded in this community, I do not understand why this consideration would even take place. As each of you know, Liberty Township Fire Department and EMS are also deeply embedded in this community. I have never met a single individual that doesn't support them, well, except for 2 local politicians. Taking this action to replace Liberty Township Fire Department EMS will only hurt our community and not improve the quality of services. Another issue is the financial cost of this integration. It makes no sense at all to propose removing $250,000 or more for shared services only to take on $1.1 million annually. It was mentioned that this would be a reciprocal decrease in the cost to the residents of Liberty Township. It was also mentioned in the proposal that after the proposal is accepted by Liberty Township, that Liberty Township would need to provide documentation to outline the future savings. So basically, there's no current understanding that this will save anyone any money, but let's go ahead and move forward with it anyway. Years ago, a councilwoman in Powell made the mistake of attempting to have Delaware County Sheriff replace Powell Police Department. This councilwoman decided that it was her duty to cut out the local police in the name of saving money for the citizens of Powell. A town hall meeting was held. And if you guys were in that meeting, you'd understand this next statement. Town hall meeting was held, and within the first 5 minutes, she realized that she had made a horrible mistake. She didn't do her homework first and failed to get advice from her community. She failed to get the pulse, the level of respect our citizens had for Chief Vest and his officers. This cost her re-election. So before deciding to jump forward and laying off dedicated, respected staff, people who serve this community, just pause for a moment and let our community decide if this is a good idea or not. Don't make your decision based on 2 politicians who think that they have the ear of Liberty Township, which they do not. 2 people who don't go to any chamber events, grand openings, any type of public forums. Are they here now? This decision should make logical sense, not political sense. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope we discuss this further in the agenda. Does anyone have a comment at this point, or let's proceed then?
Resolution number 18-1193, in the matter of approving purchase orders and announced certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 1026 and memo transfers in batch number MT APR 1026.
Well, let me just clarify one thing. What, because we have all these people here, are we going to have an EMS discussion?
We're going to have it at the proper place on the agenda, when it comes up on the agenda.
Okay, so we're going to go through the agenda, then we will be discussing. Okay, thank you.
I need a motion, please.
Is there a motion?
Oh, well, I'll move it.
Second?
Motion made and seconded, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1193. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1194, in the matter of approving right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Lewis, second by Commissioner Benton, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1194. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1195, in the matter of approving a new liquor license request from Mad Matt LLC and forwarding to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control with no objections and no requests for hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1195, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1196, in the matter of a liquor license transfer request from MSOC LLC to Esme Group LLC, and forwarding to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control with no objections and no requests for hearing.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1196, Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1197, in the matter of accepting and approving the Delaware County Sheriff's Office transfer report for the month of September 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1197, Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Item number 9 is our recorder, Melissa Jordan, with the discussion between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and the Delaware County's Recorder's Office proposal for the acquisition and maintenance of micrograph equipment.
Melissa Jordan, Delaware County Recorder. I apologize, recorder's fees aren't as interesting or cerebral as the EMS discussion, but they're necessary nonetheless. As you're aware, per the statute, we are allowed every 5 years to petition you for a portion back of the dollars generated in our office through recorder's fees for technology improvements and so forth. And I come before you today for that very thing. We are at the 5-year mark where I am to come to you and petition you for that request. Per statute, we can request back $8 on the top of every recording fee, but it's been our practice to request $4 back, and I am going to maintain that request. Part of what we do with those dollars that are self-generating to our office, it allows me to offset my request to the general fund every year during budget time. And as you know, you've read my budget justifications year after year. I try to remain as conservative as possible with what I'm requesting. I like to be protective of the funds and use them only when needed, and I look forward to a discussion on this point.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, appreciate you having answered the questions I had earlier.
Sure.
You know, there are a number of questions about the history and background and usage and so on. So, I really don't have any further questions. You've done a good job of answering the purpose and the usage in the past and why you want to maintain it.
No questions? Thanks for coming, though.
Yes, I think your budgeting process, you're always very conservative, very fiscally responsible, and it's very much appreciated. And you're being equally conservative by only requesting $4 of the $8. What do you have in mind for the money over the next 12 months? Do you have anything specific in mind, or?
Well, we use it every year to fund our, the imaging software, which is kind of a niche software. It's not just something you can buy on the street. We use that every year to fund the cost to record documents, which, as you know, we're based heavily on technology in the office, so we fund those services with it. We improve technology within the office, updating public computer systems and so
That's my
forth.
question. I know you've used it before for
Yeah,
computers.
and we can use it to do various back scanning projects and whatnot.
Any other questions or comments? No. I think we need to direct you to put
We
a
would like
resolution
some
together for
direction
Thursday.
to prepare a resolution, yes.
Without objection? Proceed.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-1198, in the matter of amending the child placement service contract between the Delaware County Department of Job and Family Services, the Delaware County Board of Commissioners, and the Department of Mental Health Eastway Corporation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Anderson with Job and Family Services. This is an amendment to cover the cost of one child already placed at Eastway Corporation, and this will cover the projected costs through June of 2019.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1198. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-1199, in the matter of terminating the Delaware County Public Defender Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Lewis, seconded by Commissioner Benton. Discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Communication Director. Just by way of background on this, the Public Defender Commission is one of the 26 boards or commissions that we oversee and make appointments to. Based on feedback we had received from members of the commission questioning essentially why they exist because they have not had any function to perform, we did task them with answering a couple questions for us, which they did within the last month. First of all, being that if they were disbanded, what would be the process to reestablish them, and what would the resources be to take that? The more, I think, important question was, does this Public Defender Commission think that it should be disbanded? Please note that we are not asking the PDC to make a recommendation as to whether the county should create its own public defender's office. We are only asking what the group's recommendation is. And their statement was, this PDC does think it should be disbanded because it is not operating as a statutory public defender's commission, even though it was formed as one, and the county does not have a statutory public defender's office, which is to be overseen by a statutory public defender's commission. There is no need for a public defender commission at this time. The commissioners can use its office staff or form a task force in the future if it wants a separate group to gather and provide information to it on the available options for operating a public defender's office. And with the assistance of our prosecutor's office, we have the resolution before you that would disband this commission. So essentially streamlining operations for everyone.
Questions or comments?
I think it's great that we asked them and they said, we don't do anything, so why bother to appoint and meet and all that?
Yeah.
So I
That
congratulate
was the
them.
concern I expressed was, and then you let me know that they were fully supportive, which makes all the sense of the world to disband it. Anything you want to add?
If we wanted to change public defender structure is one thing I know we've been looking at over the years, and that's one thing that we may want to change direction on, actually have a higher full-time public defender office, but we can reestablish the commission very
We
quickly.
can, but in their answer to that question, they essentially said that they don't believe that we even need a public defender commission, even if we establish a public defender office, that it's something that staff or a task force could perform those functions. There's no need to go to the level of creating a commission.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Vote on motion 18-1199. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Okay.
Resolution number 18-1200, in the matter of approving a transfer of funds and a transfer of appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Karen First, Fiscal Manager. The transfer of funds is to move the remaining amount of money that was budgeted for the Property and Casualty Insurance Fund and to offset any timing with cash flow. And the transfer of appropriation is needed to cover the cost of maintenance agreements on the county's software and network equipment.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1200. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. That brings us to Mr. Fromer, and I assume the topic's going to be EMS.
Yes. Just to provide a little context, I had attended a October 1st Liberty Township trustees meeting in which they wanted to discuss the Fitch study that was submitted as a draft on July 25th. At the meeting, there was a lot of dialogue between the trustees, for an extended period of time, but at the outcome, there was a request for the county commissioners to prepare a proposal to provide what that would look like for EMS service if the county's services were to be provided. I consequently met with Chief Schuling, who's over here, and we put together what was a draft proposal based on the information at that meeting, and that was shared with you all, I think, 2 weeks ago, to what that might look like. I think subsequently the proposal has been distributed, and I think it's, folks are aware, it sounds like in the conversation today of what was in there. So I just wanted to, get back with you guys to see if there was any questions, comments, any feedback, so.
Commissioner Lewis, Commissioner Benton? Anything you want to say?
All right, let me begin. Well, there's so many things that I would like to say about this proposal. I think a lot of the points have been made already. One of them was that certainly this issue, and you raised this too, this issue is really being rushed. There is one part, certainly the merits of the issue. The second part is, has there been the appropriate study done, meaning the effects of this issue upon Liberty Township and on the county? One of those certainly are the costs. And Trustee Eichhorn did a great job of talking about some of the costs, and Mayor Benhoff too. I guess I would ask, how is this saving money? This proposal talks about saving, okay, let's see here, saving money. And it's kind of confusing as to what they're getting at, but I think it's really important to be very transparent about what we're talking about here, because what we're talking about in the proposal, it says that, let's see, the expectation of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners is that there will be a reciprocal decrease in the cost to the residents of Liberty Township. If this proposal, and again, I'm quoting from the proposal, is accepted, Delaware County requests that Liberty Township provide documentation that outlines these future savings. Well, we've had documentation that, in fact, this proposal is not actually saving money for Liberty Township, but costing them money, let alone, I mean, we've had overwhelming testimony. And I think we've also heard from other Liberty residents. We haven't heard from all of them, and again, because a lot of them don't know what's going on. But we've heard overwhelming testimony that this would really compromise their safety services in so many ways. So we need to be upfront. What we're talking about is letting go several, it's probably going to be 18, as I understand, cross-train firefighters, EMS. I'm looking at Chief Schuling because I believe that's what you mentioned when we met.
I'm not aware of any number 18 that was provided to us by Liberty Township.
By Liberty Township, right. That would be because there are they provide 3 people in each ambulance. We're talking about 2 people. You've got 3 shifts, 2 ambulances. It works out to letting go 18 cross-trained EMS firefighters. Why we're doing this, it makes no sense. It's a slap in the face to Liberty Township residents, period. On the county side, it makes no sense. It's extremely costly to us. We're paying now approximately, the latest figure that we were given, $233,000 a year. Our costs go way up, way up. The first year, it's going to be approximately $1 million. The one thing that the figures, and that assumes the figures that we have are taking into account all the expenses that the county would be taking over by providing county EMS. I know one figure that's been left off is the cost of the replacement vehicles. Chief Schuling, we didn't put that in, and that runs approximately $50,000 a year. So we're up to about, the first year alone, it's $1 million. Subsequent years, it could be less. But I mean, why are we, I mean, the money that the county's spending to do that, it's not fair, as the residents from Sunbury pointed out, to the rest of the county. I'll let
First of all, I just want to make a point of clarification. We have been asked by the trustees in Liberty Township to provide a proposal. That is far from having agreement to do anything. So we're responding to a request, and from there, we have leaped all the way to that we've got a contract, and we're far from that. Well, all that has been asked, as far as I'm aware of, is for a proposal which has been prepared, good, bad, or indifferent. Ultimately, I have no idea how this is going to play out, but ultimately, those trustees, one who's present here today, will make an evaluation. They'll decide it makes sense, it doesn't make sense, or to turn it down. And in which case, it come back to us, and we have to then determine whether we think there's logic to it. And I've heard a lot of stuff today here. I've made a couple of notes. And there's some things I want to get some clarity on. But right now, this is just basically responding to a proposal, and Shira's shaking her head. I think she understands what I'm saying. And that's all we're talking about. This is not a finished product, and it doesn't mean we're going to do anything. But I just want to make that clear, because I think somehow there's an impression that somehow we're way down the road on this. I think we're probably on the 10-yard line, 20-yard line. But with that, Commissioner Ben, do you have anything to add?
10-yard line on the home 10-yard line.
Yeah, the 9 yards away, how's that? Okay.
First of all, let me say thank you to everyone for showing up. Obviously, this is a very important issue to everyone who showed up this morning. And participation is great. It's great to see so many people here. And obviously, you feel very passionately about it. And I commend you for that. And secondly, I want to commend everyone for being civil. We've seen a lot, unfortunately, of uncivil discourse and discussion in the public sector in recent years in particular. So I want to thank everyone for their presentations, their discussions, and so on. But I do want to make a few points. Quite honestly, I got a number of emails over the weekend. A lot of them had a lot of misinformation. They're just flat out wrong, wrong information that's being spread. One of them was that, if this proposal would go forward, that there would be no EMS stations in Liberty Township, and we'd have to serve it from the Orange Township, which is not what we're after here. I think it's very important that everyone understand that I, and particularly I think my fellow commissioners would say the same thing. We want outstanding service, and you're getting great service now. So we don't want to change the service. We wouldn't change the locations. The ambulances wouldn't change. The training is good. It would be the same. The equipment's the same. The qualifications, 24/7 year-round service. It would all be the same. Under what we're talking about. Our EMS service has received a number of awards, and they are very well trained. They have the gold standard of the CAAS and so on. They have excellent response times. They meet all the targets on response times. So again, I think it's good that, again, we got together, we're talking about it. The most common complaint I hear as a commissioner from our residents is our taxes are too high. And so, I think we owe it to our residents to, if there's a topic that could possibly reduce taxes, I think we need to look at it and have a dialogue, have a discussion. So anyway, again, that's where I am on it. I think we ought to consider, continue the conversation and see where it goes. I like John Benhoff's suggestion of a citizens group, somewhere that can really dig into this and analyze it and see if there's ways to do things more efficiently. So anyway, I think it makes sense to continue the dialogue in whatever format that would take, whether it's this proposal or some other group that gets together and talks about it.
So what you're saying is then that we keep the proposal, we do not pass the proposal on, to the Liberty Township trustees. We do not approve this proposal. What we're doing is we're going to keep discussing, and then you said a citizens group.
Yeah, I mean,
perhaps, or-
yeah, I think, again, it's a worthy topic.
Oh, yeah,
We
definitely.
have 13 fire districts in Delaware County. We have 6 fire districts and so on that provide EMS. You know, is that the most efficient way, the best way to handle it? I don't know.
Well, I
understand.
I
So anyway, I'd like to continue and have more discussion and see if there's ways to, work on better and more efficient coverage, so.
Yeah, I think the last thing I would want to do is to kick it back to Liberty Township to decide, because that puts the rest of the Delaware County residents, I mean, that puts this in the hands of the Liberty Township trustees, 2 of which have told us to do this proposal. And so, I mean, I'm not willing to take on the $1 million cost the first year and the costs in the succeeding years for the citizens of Delaware County. So I would never agree to send this proposal back to Liberty Township. I mean, that would be a real abrogation of our duty as commissioners, good grief. And then, talking about taxes being high, we have the best example of Liberty Township passing a levy over, it's like 75% passed a levy. This is what they want. They know. I mean, this is, no way am I going to intercede and tell you what you need to pay for your safety and your protection. No way, and we have no authority to do that. And let's just be real transparent. You've already voted on your taxes. We would be going directly in contravention, in opposition to you. This is what you want. That's the best reading. Now, if we really want to do something productive, I think we could get not only a citizens commission we could put, and I've been working on this for 10 years. Doggone it, if we want to solve the problem, let's put our cross-trained firefighters together with our EMS, and let's work out a solution. Stick them in a room and let them decide, because they know so much more than we do. So there are solutions to this. This stupid proposal is not the solution.
I have a few comments, but I hope they'll plug into mine, but I doubt it. I live in Liberty, okay? So this affects me too, so let's be, okay? First of all, as Commissioner Benton indicated, thank you to everyone in this room who came here today and your level of professionalism. We always worry about when a large group gets together, are they going to handle it professionally? You guys handle that in spades. Yeah. Thank you. There is not a commissioner up here who does not have the best interest in this county at heart. That is our goal. Now, we may look at the same information and come to different conclusions on one particular issue, but that does not make any of us bad people, whether we agree or disagree on a specific issue. The other trustees have been slammed a little bit here this morning. The fact that they asked the question, is there a better way, that's not inappropriate, okay? And the only thing we're doing today, if we do anything, and we may not do anything, is whether we always submit the proposal back to them. And as I said, we're on the 10-yard line. There's a long, long ways to get anything done or approved, because there's some things that we would have had to have seen, okay? So I think there's a little misunderstanding on that part from some of the emails that I read, where there was some expectation we were going to vote on something that was done. It's not the case.
Now you say we're going to...
Please let me, I didn't bother you, okay?
Excuse me.
Fair?
Excuse me, yes.
Okay. So anyway, that was the purpose of the getting together. We made sure it was on the agenda, so we would have this opportunity for dialogue. We didn't try to do anything behind the scenes, so at least respect that, okay? We could have had a vote, cabinet vote under other business or something, but that's not fair to the process. And again, I'm a resident, it's just important to me as it to each of you. We do have some issues in Liberty, okay? And I don't want to get into specifics, but because of run cards, et cetera, not every area in Liberty gets served at the same level as some areas, okay? And there are some situations where other EMS locations are closer. So those are kinds of issues, alluding to Commissioner Lewis's comment, those are the kind of issues we need to sit down and find solutions to and for. I think we all have the same goal. How do we best serve the residents of this county? I'm going to use a phrase that's about 5 years old. This person is no longer in office or in the capacity, but it was somebody in Liberty. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to anyway. But a comment was made, the people in Radnor shouldn't expect the same level of service as people in Liberty because there's more people in Liberty. And my comment to that person was, if I have a heart attack at Radnor, it's just as important to me as to have it in Liberty. So the bottom line is, every resident in this county deserves the same level of care. So I take that seriously. Commissioner Lewis takes that seriously. Commissioner Benton takes that seriously. But to have this dialogue and have this opportunity to listen is important. Okay, so there's no villains. And there's a lot of people that spoke this morning that I know and I have the highest respect for. But give everybody involved in the process the same level of respect. I'm not sure where we're going from here. I got the feeling from Commissioner Benton that we're not prepared to have any sort of vote today, and I'm not sure I would have supported that.
Yeah.
So I think we will, in my role as president, I think we should, I've had some conversations with some people. People I have a lot of respect for in Liberty. We'll figure something out as far as where we go from here. Whatever we do will be above board. You're going to know about it. Fair? But the bottom line is there are some issues in this county we need to get resolved. And there's some fire chiefs here. One of them's nodding. I think you're pretty, I don't want to put you on the spot. So.
Talking about Chief Honeycutt, no.
But she can put you on the spot, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. But you agree with that statement. And I've been a commissioner 6 years, and it's like a soap opera. It just goes on and on and on. So how do we provide the best level of service for the residents of this county and be fiscally responsible? Okay? Because everything has a price. In a broad sense, I'm not talking about a specific life. So with that, I don't think we're prepared to have any more discussion on this topic today. Where it goes, we'll let you know, if it goes anywhere. Yes, Mayor. You're not speaking to the capacity of the mayor, so I'll take that back. Go ahead.
Thank you. If I may.
Sure.
And I appreciate this opportunity. I greatly appreciate the time and attention that everybody here and up there has put into this. I also appreciate the stay or slow effort. I highly recommend the invocation of a task force for Liberty Township as well as for the county. I think that that would be the best way to address it. I think that I said the Fitch report is a flawed report. I didn't need to say my name and address again, no. I always get hung up on procedure.
You're fine.
I think the Fitch report does have some good points in it. There are, if you pick pieces out of it, so if a task force were formed, and I am going to rely on some of the people that have been on, I'm going to tap them on the shoulder and say, look, you're almost retired, or you are, or you've got the time, why don't you belly up and consider being involved in this? I think it's real important to note that the city of Powell, which I'm not speaking for, but as a resident of Powell and a resident of Liberty Township, has not had a seat at this table until today. And I think it's important that that large a demographic of that community be at the table for the discussion and involved in the task force that I highly recommend, Shira, and I hope that we can get the two bodies together to come to an agreement to have a strategic task force to springboard off of what's here in the Fitch report. Like I said, I did comment that it's flawed. It is, I do believe there are some serious flaws.
I thought you were a little tough on when you said they didn't live in the state, but
Well, they're out of state, and I still believe that there probably could have been consultants, not me, I'm not that kind of a consultant, but there could have been consultants found in Ohio that might have been able to execute the report. I could be wrong about
Mayor,
that.
I think the question is, regardless of who did the report, is there valid information that can make us better?
I think there is, and I think there are issues that are fairly easily executed that would improve the service in the county while really not affecting those that have chosen to have a superior service. So, and I do agree 110% that everybody in the county, everybody in the country deserves the same level of care. They have to be willing to pay for it. And Radnor may not be, but
Well, but the difference between, and I make sure I'm not misunderstood, the difference between a Radnor and a Liberty, you have much less people. So it's a little more of a, it's more costly per person up there than it would be in a Liberty. I think that was the point that individual was trying to make a few years ago. But
I think
to me, every life matters the same amount. So
I think it was on page 26, I might be wrong on the page number, but it recommended perhaps moving some EMS, which could improve the coverage in the county, and I would suggest perhaps looking at that. I'm not a task
Right.
force, but have that task
Moving
force
some of
look at.
the EMS stations north.
Right. So
South.
I strongly recommend that. I hope that I'm not stepping on any toes here, but I really do think that a task force would be the right way to go.
I'm
And
talking about county EMS stations.
I think there ought to be actually two task forces, one for Liberty Township and Powell, and one for the county, so that, and then they could combine efforts and strategies. So that's my recommendation and my plea, and thank you very much.
and I apologize for calling you mayor. I couldn't help myself.
I'm not the mayor today.
I know. I apologize for
I'm
it.
none of my, I have no hat on today. Thank you.
Shira just wanted to say something.
Can you make it quick? Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much that we are not moving quickly on this, that we're going to take our time and do it right, on the discussion and analysis of it. I do think, since I am here, it is my duty to say, it took me a lot of time to prepare, my speech that I gave, made sure that my numbers are accurate. So when we do talk about this further, when there are comments made, as you said, Commissioner Amero, about maybe some issues with run cards or different areas, I would like to see numbers that back that up, because I actually would challenge that, because I still think the numbers and the response times will be
what I
below. So
say
you
is
have
you-
to do it by percentages, or at least hard numbers.
Okay, since you made that comment, I feel like I got to say something.
Please
Okay?
do.
Where I live, I don't want to make this personal, so I'm going to be very generic. There are areas in Liberty Township that there are 2, 3, 4 EMS locations that are closer, and the run cards have created a problem in the past. Now, maybe that problem's been solved or will be solved.
How many, has this been a problem or
If you
just
want
an
to catch me
incident?
separately, I'll share, I'll have a conversation with you. But
That would be great, because I
don't
just want to make
it-
sure that we have
Again,
correct percentages and the numbers are correct.
I applaud the people who come and have provided service, so I don't make it personal, okay? In a generic or broad sense, I think there's an issue there that needs to be addressed. And that's true in every township, because our borders are such that there's always sometimes someone closer in another township. So how do we address
Exactly.
that to make sure the
Exactly.
closest EMS gets there? That's the point I'm trying to make, and I see some nods in agreement.
Yes, and I agree, and if that's the point, then absolutely. I
that's
think
the point.
I misunderstood maybe what your point was, so thank you for that clarification.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify.
But if I could just emphasize on that point, one of the key recommendations out of the Fitch report in my mind was that we are not dispatching the closest unit to the emergency, which, in a situation where you have an emergency that's a matter of life and death, where seconds and minutes count, that really concerned me, that just by policy, we aren't dispatching the closest unit. Because if I have a problem, I want the closest unit to come, help me. So anyway, that's one of the things that the Fitch report said that I thought was really something we need to address.
I don't know what it is, but sure.
This is off your auditor's website. And so if you look down here, how the taxes are going, we're actually going to be taxed less than Radnor Fire Department. And they're going to involve the fire department. So I'm going to try to be quick. As a first responder of Liberty Township, I'm representing a citizen. I live in northern Delaware County. They're friends of ours, of Delaware County EMS. This is kind of creating battle lines, and it's sad because we have to deal with that in a crisis to try to save somebody's life. That animosity does not work, okay? As a citizen, we need to look at this as a global situation. We are very lucky down in the southern part of Delaware County to have the services that we currently have, and we voted on in there. On the northern part of the things, we're not there, okay? So I know right now that 0.5% sales tax is not allowed to be spent in countywide fire-based EMS. But I'm sure there's some powers to be somewhere in this world to either readjust that as a referendum and to be able to supply cross-man services across the whole county, is what you're talking about
I
right
think
now.
what Commissioner Benton is saying.
Yes.
Why wouldn't the closest one?
You're right.
I think you're agreeing with that.
I'm agreeing with you. So it might not be a popular thing, but right now, I believe if we're going to talk this, turn a positive into a negative. Negative into a positive, is that we're going to have a discussion about a countywide system.
Yeah.
Because right now, seems like a hostile takeover of the EMS system over there. And we don't want to see it that way, because we work and doing the same job side by side with each other. So if we could look at this together and look at your taxes right there, the taxes are not that far off. So I know you can't create a fire district or fire department countywide in Ohio yet, okay? But that's why you guys are sitting here, to make changes. So that we do districts, you just line up all your levies and all that stuff, and then you can leave Liberty Township either alone, the way it is, and use that as a parlay out there and say, okay, you would be surprised how much support you had. I used to be president of a union a couple years ago. And at that time, we actually sat down with all the union representatives and see what their guys thought. At that time, and I'm saying at that time, not currently, I don't know, that there was an interest on looking at this system. I've talked to the Delaware County EMS president of their union. They were interested in looking into it. So you already have a lot of support on an action. And I've talked to a trustee that supports this about this. And I've asked her to look at a better way to attack this for, not just for Liberty Township, but for the whole county. You have support on this. You do.
Yeah,
I promise you that.
and it is a countywide issue.
Yes.
But you only know what you know, based on where you live. So I think
I think we're
getting
together
three
on
nods
this.
up there.
I think you can, I think if you just kind of sit back and take a breath and look at some people who actually do this for a living and see how it would work and find out how much support, you truly have a lot of this action. Because I do live in the northern part of this district. And I am nervous because when I go to work at night, all I have is Medic 6 covering my department.
Yeah,
After
right.
4 o'clock, there is no fire department. So if you have an accident after 4 o'clock up in any of these volunteer areas, Delaware County EMS, they're good at what they do. But if you're entrapped, they can't get you out. If your house is on fire, they can't put it out. And I know there's recordings that Patrick could probably pull that shows that there's been putting some of these guys in situations where they probably don't want to be, but they're on the run cards. And since they're there 24/7 and the firefighters are not, they're going to be there first. And now they have to sit there and either watch a house burn down or watch somebody die in a car. We don't have to do that down in Liberty Township because we're all trained firefighter and medics, rescue, all that stuff. So please look at the system and see if you truly want to fix it. If you truly down deep in your heart truly care and want to fix it, you need to look at the whole system and not just trying to pick on one situation.
Just, I'm reassured we do care.
I know. I
And we
believe you do. I do believe.
want to solve the
I do
problem.
believe. Because if you didn't, you'd be voting on something right now, it'd be hastily down the road. Okay, thank you.
Yes, this just points out the importance of looking at the whole system and seeing how it can be most efficiently and effectively done. And with a task force, we can do that. But definitely, it hasn't been looked at in 40 years, so it's time.
No, I'm not sure that's true. We've,
Well, I mean, as far as
I've been
serious.
Commissioner 6 years, I've seen at least 3 presentations from
Well, we
from
have
county
some
representatives.
presentations, but
So-
it seems then we never come up with the best answer. I think we can
In
do
closing, I
that.
just want to make this statement. One, again, thank you very much, everyone that's here. we share one thing in common. We want Liberty Township to be the greatest township in the county. And I love my township. I love the people who are working in my behalf in my township. So thank you for that. And with that, we're going to move on. I don't think we have need for executives. Well, first of all, we do have our announcements here.
Yes, we still need to do administrative reports and commissioner committee
You have anything
reports.
else?
I don't.
You're spent, right?
Yeah.
Commissioner Benton. This will take just a minute, guys.
This just takes a second, hopefully.
If you bear with us, just so we don't have a commotion.
Couple things.
Commissioner Benton always comes up with a long list. So
It's usually sports related.
it's sports related, yeah.
We had the Community Foundation dinner Thursday evening, very well attended, 340 people at the new Renaissance Hotel, which was a beautiful facility and a nice addition to our community. Very well attended. Mr. Bosco was a huge hit and a huge success as MC, so I want to give him praise for that. And Jeff Robinson did a great job as he always does. And then we honored 3 others in addition to Jeff Robinson for the various achievements. And again, a huge part of what makes this county such a great place. Had our legislative update Friday with Representative Brenner and Representatives Brenner and Carfagna. A lot going on, so we're working on stuff there to advance various issues in the county. And tomorrow morning is the Orange Township Business Association meeting, which is always very interesting, and they're doing a nice job with a lot of things down in Orange Township, so I'll be going to that.
As I will.
Good. And,
I'm here to accept an award for Main Street,
oh,
Delaware,
tomorrow morning.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
At 8 a.m.
yep. And if you haven't been to Topgolf yet, you need to go.
He always has to work at a sports thing.
Yeah, I would just like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you, as it was said, for your civility. And
I just I'll make it fairly quick. He always goes first. He always mentions about 80% of what we were going to mention anyway. So we had a legislative meeting Friday. We do once a month at 2 o'clock at Source Point. Andy Brenner and Rick Carfagna were there. They're very good about coming and representing you and making us aware of what's going on at the state level. So my accolades to the 2 of them for taking their time once a month to do that. The Delaware Foundation that was mentioned, the 4 winners, honorees, Charles and Betty Sheets, who I'm sure many of you know, and the gifts that they've made to various entities in this county. Fort Meyer and Sons was the outstanding business winner. The outstanding volunteer, who's also the outstanding comedian, who made you look good, right? Right. So Jeff Robinson, I had the privilege of working with him when I was publisher of the Gazette. He was my editor, and if you've ever heard him perform, he's quite good at providing local humor for all of us when you hear him talk about Delaware County. And outstanding youth group was the Big Walnut Middle School Student Leadership Council. So it was a real good event, it always is. And I have one last thing. Make sure everybody votes. Election's coming up pretty quickly here. It's an important election, and so be sure and vote, and cast your vote to whoever and whatever. I do have one thing I want to encourage everybody. I'm surprised you didn't mention it. Issue 1.
Issue 1, yes.
Every elected official in this county is opposed to issue 1. It is not a good thing for this county. It is not a good thing for this state. We have outside money telling us how to handle it. So your vote and people that you know, please get them out to vote, because this is going to be a tough election. Last poll I saw, it was unfortunately passing. It should not be in our Constitution, and it's bad law.
Early voting's right up the street.
Yeah. All of you go up there. That'll surprise them. You all show up there in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So with that, we will
We are
recess
in
to
recess
1:30.
until 1:30.
So we're now in recess. Thank you very much.
Resolution number 18-1202, in the matter of adjourning out of executive session.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion, vote.
Voted on motion 18-1202, Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
If there's no other business to bring before us, we are adjourned.